Hello class, this is a video segment I like to call Two Archaeologists in a Car Driving to Their Work Site. I'm here in the car today with a longtime friend, Stephen Hennek.
Hey guys.
Stephen, can you tell us how long you've been a professional archaeologist?
I've been doing archaeology since 2001.
Since 2001. What persuaded you, or maybe I should ask, why did you get involved in archaeology in the first place?
I was lucky enough to get invited out to work on the Channel Islands with Terry Jocelyn and Christina Gill, Mike Glassow, and I had taken Dust's class and taken some of his field schools. But that experience was pretty monumental in kind of pushing me towards deciding that this is kind of what I want to get paid for and do for potentially the rest of my life. But yeah, doing a field school and then getting to actually see some really good archaeology, especially out there where the stratigraphy is intact, and working with people that really know what they're doing was pretty inspiring.
Oh, that's great. So we're currently on an excavation, but before we were on this project together, could you kind of explain what you've been doing for the last few years, what your role in archaeology has been?
Right now, I'm working for a company called Garcia and Associates that's based out of the Bay Area, and one of our major contracts is with PG&E, and for the last 3 years, I've been working with tree crews that are removing hazard trees around power lines, and the majority of my job is spent surveying trees before they're removed to ensure that there are no unknown sites around those trees, and then updating site records to the sites that are known in those areas, and then going back to those same projects and advising the crews on how to avoid any impacts to those sites.
So a large part of your job is being in the field and trying to protect archaeological sites so they're not damaged through these types of activities?
Yeah, and mainly also updating like poorly recorded sites. A lot of, especially in the Sierras, a lot of those sites are pretty remote, hard to get to, and I'd say the majority of them haven't been visited since sometimes the 1970s and 1980s. And since then there's been a lot of changes, and with the technology that we have now, and also the opportunity to go out there now that PG&E is actually doing more environmental review. I've probably record and update at least 2 to 3 sites a week.
Well, that's phenomenal. So you're really doing or playing a significant role in documenting archaeological resources in California. It sounds like.
And that's pretty much, that area kind of spans, at least that contract is on BLM and Forest Service land, and it goes from Sequoia down the south all the way up to Lassen National Forest, up northeast of Redding, and Shasta Trinity west of Redding. So it's a pretty large area to cover, but we consistently go back to some of the same lines and consistently go back to some of the same sites. So it's kind of interesting to see just how they've changed and how PG&E has been handling them just in the last 3 years. So.
Well, that's excellent. So my final question for you is, do you have any advice for students that want to follow archaeology as a career path? What would your advice to new students in the field be?
Get with a company that you're going to be able to do lots of excavations with. A company like Far Western has lots of individuals that you'll end up working with that have years of experience, and you're going to learn a ton. You're going to find out very quickly the physical limits of your abilities as well, working with a company like that. But I think that's good, because if you can kind of cut your teeth with with some CRM companies, then you're pretty much, after doing that for 1 or 2 years, you're going to be ready to move on and maybe do something more like what I'm doing, which takes a certain amount of kind of handling things by yourself. And that's one thing that I see a lot of new archaeologists kind of struggling with now, is just being able to be in the field without anyone to ask questions and being able to problem solve kind of on the fly. And if you can feel confident problem solving on the fly by yourself, then really you're going to be able to take on any job that anyone gives you and be successful.
I think that's great advice, Stephen. Well, thanks for allowing me to interview you while you're driving, and thanks for not driving us off this cliff. If you can see, students, one of the perks about doing archaeology is you get to come to some remote and incredibly beautiful places and drive on some pretty hairball roads. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.